Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to explain to you Azure Boards. So mainly what we're going to see in this video, how to create an organizations, how to create project inside this organizations, and how to create a task board inside your project. Also, I'm going to show you how to set up the columns for your task board. It's something like this. We're going to create task board, and this task board consists of columns. I'm going to show you how to create these columns in your task board. Also, I'm going to show you how to configure your sprint and how to invite team members to your project. Also, I'm going to show you how to create and customize your own Agile process, how to create user stories, tasks, features, and epics. And also, I'm going to show you how to assign team capacity for your project. At the end, I'm going to show you how to connect your Azure Boards to your GitHub account and also how to link GitHub commit to your tasks. Let's get started. So you have to have an Azure account, and now I logged into my account, and the first thing that we're going to do is to create an organization. Okay, just click on this one and it's going to ask you to view your organizations. So if you have organization already created, it's going to show up here, but I don't have any organizations. What I'm going to do, I'm going to create one now. Click continue, and it gives my organization is default name. I'm going to change this one. So what I'm going to call it, I'm going to call it Akram organization. Okay. And this is the one that I already created. You can create a new one if you want. I'm going to click on this one. And it's going to ask you to create a project. So just name your project, whatever that name. I'm going to just going to call it demo. Okay. And you can write descriptions to your demos here. And after that, go to advanced. Don't choose basic. We're going to go with Agile. And I'm going to even customize that Agile. Choose Git in this one and create your project. And then your project is going to show up here. I'm going to click on this project. Okay, go to ports and go to sprint. Okay, and go to the task board. See this one? I'm clicking in the task board. So the board is already we have default one, but you cannot see it because you don't have any user story or work item inside that one. The first thing that I want to do is to rename these iterations instead of iteration 1, iteration 2, iteration 3. See it create 3 iterations. What I'm going to do, I'm going to just rename these one to sprint 1, sprint 2, and sprint 3. I'm going to set the time for each one. Okay. So this one I'm going to call sprint 1. And the start date, just state from this date. I'm going to have it just 1 week. Sprint. I'm going to save. Now we have sprint 1. I'm going to do the same thing for iteration 2. And this one is going to start from 27th till 30th. Save. Okay, I'm going to do this one for the last one. Start till end of the week, 7th. Good. And you can add more sprint if you want. Okay, so now we have our organizations, and we have a project inside this organization, and we have task board for this project. First thing that you should do is when you create your project is to invite your team members to your project. Okay, so I'm going to click on my project here, and you see this one, invite, and I'm going to invite the team members here. I create another account, and I'm going to invite that account to this Azure board. Okay, this is the second account that I created, just for example, and I'm going to invite this account to my project. So I'm going to say add. You see, successfully added here. Another member is added. So I'm going to close this one, and now we have two members, me and another account that I created. So now two members inside this project. And after that, once you go to boards and sprints and task board, and now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the first user story. Once I create the first user story, you're going to see the default columns for your task board. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create first user story. So this is a very simple user story that I'm going to create. I'm just going to, the title for this user story, I'm going to call it register user. And I'm going to have description and acceptance criteria for this user story. So this is the user story. Just going to change the font. Okay. So this is the user story descriptions and the acceptance criteria. I already prepared an example for acceptance criteria. I'm going to come here and just paste that once. Just change the font, default. And then what I'm going to do save. And now we're going to see the columns for your task board. This is your task board for your sprint, and these are the default columns. As an example, I'm going to change these columns to this example that I have. I want one for to do, development, review, testing, and done. Okay, just change that once. It's very simple. Just go to the columns here and change this one to do, and this one development. Okay, and this one is review, and I'm going to create another one for testing, and the last one I'm going to call it done. And you can call them whatever you want. And now we have these columns exactly the same as the one that we planned. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create these tasks. We have a user story. I'm going to create tasks for the user story. So I'm going to come here and create tasks. Okay, before we create tasks, let's just assign this user story to account, for example. Okay, and now I'm going to create tasks for this user story. Task, I'll just give it a name. I'm going to assign this task to myself. I'm going to click on this one. You should write description for this task. I'm not going to do this one now. Just what's the estimate for this task? Let's see, this task takes 4 hours and remaining 4 hours, and completed is 0. Just for just as an example. Okay. Save that once. I'm going to create another user story. So I'm going to assign that user story to the other team member. So another user story, and this one I'm just going to call it user story 2. Story 2. Okay. And this one is assigned to the other team member. I'm going to create even task for this one too. I'm going to just call task 1. Task 1. This is just an example. So now we have 2 user stories and we have 2 tasks, 1 task for each user story. So once we start, the user story is going to be in to do, and then after that, if you choose this one, for example, you assign to self, let's just assign this one to other team member. Let's say that I want to start a sprint, I want to start development this user story, and choose this task. I'm going to put it in development. Okay, in development, and I'm going to take care of this task. Maybe Liz is going to take care of this one. Once I finish that once, I'm going to put in review, ask another member to review that once. After that, it's going to go testing, and after that, it's going to go to done. Good. If you see here, when I moved it from to do to development, see, active. It become active. So now it's new, and now it become active. And after that, it's still active. It's still active. And here it's closed, done. This one, you see this one closed and active. Okay, these one we call them states. We call them states. Okay, I don't like these ones, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify these ones. I'm going to create new states. So for example, if I move this task to development, it's going to be in progress. But if I move it here to review, this one is going to be in review. If I move it here, this one is going to be in testing. If I move it here, this one is going to be done. So how are we going to do that one? It's really very simple. What we're going to do, we're going to go to the project properties, and this is the project properties. Here, I'm going to click on this one, and you're going to go to this Agile process and try to add a new states. I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to go to the task. Because the task, I'm going to change the states for this task. There is default states. Just click on this one. And this is the states here. Okay, these are the default states. I want to change them. I want to add new ones. If you click here, see, I click here, you cannot do that one. So you cannot change the Agile, the built-in Agile. You cannot change this process. Remember that when we create a project, we choose Agile. That's the built-in one. You cannot change that one. But you can do this. You can inherit from this one. You can create your own Agile process, and you can customize that process. Okay, again, understand what does that means when I do it in front of you. It's really very simple. These are the process, right? Agile. This is the one that we select, but I want to customize that one. Maybe you can do that once. I'm going to come here and create inherited process, and I'm going to call this one my Agile. So it's create process Agile, but I'm going to customize that one. I'm going to call it my Agile. You can write descriptions here for this one. Just gonna copy paste my Agile, but you should write description for your Agile. Good. I'm gonna create that one, and now I have the Agile process. So for this process, I can go to the task, go to the state, and I can add. Okay, I can add. See, this is the one that I created, my own. I can customize that one, but the built-in one, you cannot change that one. I'm going to just add a new states. The first one I'm going to call it in progress. I'm going to keep the color blue. Create. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to call this one in review. Review. And I'm going to change this color to yellow. Create. So now I create two states. I'm going to add another one for testing. Testing. I'm going to change this color to red. Create. Also, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create another one for done. Okay. And done cannot be in progress, right? Done is done, right? Should be complete. So I'm going to select this one complete. And once you select this one complete, okay, you see this one, close is going to be eliminated. Okay, it's going to be eliminated. So we have one definition for done. So when I create, you see close is eliminated. So now we have active, in progress, review, and testing, and I have done. So there's one step that I want to do now is you see this active. I'm not going to use this one, so I'm going to use in progress, in review, and testing, and done. So I'm going to hide it. Okay, if you don't hide it, it's going to complain. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just hide that one. Good, good. And now I'm going to go to my organization here. I'm going to go to my project, task, ports, sprint, and now we are the task port. If I move this one, it's still active, right? See, this one's still active because we don't use the Agile process that we created. We still use that built-in one. As a proof, if you go here to the project properties, you see, you still use the built-in process. Click on this one, we're still using that one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change that process to the one that I create. So I'm going to go to my projects here, click on this one, demo. I'm going to say change process. Which process I'm going to add? The one that I create, my Agile. I'm going to create that one, save, close, and now I'm going to go to my organization, go to the demo, ports, sprint, task board. So now we use our own process, right, which is my Agile, but this one is complaining here because we created states, but we don't use them. And show you how to fix it. Just click on this one. I'm gonna come here, you see, development, and we change it for the task. We say in progress. That's the state. Review. I'm gonna change this one in review. Testing. I'm gonna change this one in testing. Done. I'm gonna change this one to done. Okay. I want you to notice this. I did this one for the task. All right. You should repeat the same process for the bugs. Okay. So the bugs still use old states, okay? But you can repeat this process easily for the task. Okay. Let's say save. Just to show you how to do this one for the bug. Okay. You see here. We'll go to the project setting. Okay. My Agile. This is my Agile. I change this one for the task, right? I click in the task, in this task, and I change the states for the task, right? So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go to this process. I can do it for the bugs. Can do the same for the bugs. Even the bugs have states, you can change these ones if you want. Okay, I'm not gonna do it in this video. Good. So now I'm going to go to organizations, my project, boards, sprint, task board. And hopefully now, because I used the customized, the one that I created, so hopefully it's gonna work now. So if I move this one to development, it's gonna be in progress. If I move this one in review, it's gonna be in review, testing, and done is gonna be in done. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna move to another very important thing, which is the capacity of the team. This one here. Before I move to this one, I'm gonna just double check that this task has 4 hours, okay, and remaining is 4 hours, and completed is 0. I'm gonna save this one. I'm gonna go to this task 2. This one has, let's say, 3 hours, for example, and remaining 3, and completed 0. Okay. Good. Let's see what's the capacity of the team. Click in this capacity here, okay, and we're gonna assign activity for each team member. Let's say that both of them in the development. So development, and then it's gonna ask you about the capacity. Gonna ask you how many hours per day they're gonna work. Okay, let's just say that 8 hours, for example, per day. Okay, each one work 8 hours per day, and you can put the days off for each developer if you want. I'm gonna save. I'm gonna go to the task board here, and then after that I want you to come here, this one, view options, click in this one, and view details, and this is what I want you to see. So now what we have 2 team members, okay, Liz and Akram, and each one work 8 hours a day, and our sprint is 5. That means each one work 40 hours per sprint. So the total 40 and 40 is 80. But the team now is doing only 7 hours. So we should add more user story and more tasks to reach this or close to 80. And so by using this one, we can easily see who's doing what and who doing more work, for example. Okay, and if the capacity is, for example, exceed, if someone is doing more than 80 hours per week, for example, that's more than expected, right? I came here for just for sake of example, and let's say this one is 90, just as an example, 90 hours. Okay, and I do save. What's gonna happen? I'm gonna go here, work details. You see, it's in red. Why? Because now the team have to work 93 hours, more than the assigned capacity, So what I'm gonna do, I just put some realistic time for this, remaining 4, and save. So now if you want to add more user stories, just you click this one here, new, and you can add more user story if you want. Okay. The thing that I want you to know is this one. Once you create user story, right away the user story is going to be in sprint 1 by default in sprint 1. So if you click in this user story, for example, you see this user story is created in sprint 1 and sprint 1. Okay. If I remove this one, for example, if I remove sprint 1, then the user story is going to be in the product backlog. User story is going to be in the product backlog. Okay. So we just go to the backlog here. Okay. So these ones are in the backlog and they are inside the sprint 1. If I add another one, for example, here, let's say this one is user story 3, for example. Okay. And I add it, you see, right away it's going to be in sprint 1. If I go to sprints, task board, you see, user story 3 is created here. Okay. Sometimes you want to create the user stories, but you don't want to put them in any sprint, right? You just want all of them to be in the product backlog. If you want to do that once, okay, you can go to the user story and just remove this sprint here and save. Okay. Now this user story 3 in the backlog, but this one is not in any sprint, Just prove that once. I'm going to go to the sprint, and this is sprint 1. You see, now you don't see user story 3. And if you want to put the user story 3, for example, in sprint 1, it's really very easy. You can just take this one and drag it and put it in sprint 1. And now user story 3 is in a sprint 1. Good. You can change the default, by the way. Instead of creating this user story in sprint 1, you can change the default to be created in the backlog without any sprint. It's really very easy. Go to the project properties and then team configuration, iterations, and change this one to demo, and then set. Okay. And now if we create any user story, it's going to be by default in the product backlog. Okay. I'm going to go to the project here, boards, backlog. And now if I create a new user story, that user story is not going to belong to any sprint. It's not going to go to sprint number 1. You just write user story 4. I'm going to add. You see, now this user story is not in sprint 1. And if I want to move it, I can just drag that one to the sprint that I want, 1 or 2 or 3. Okay. Another important thing that I want to show you is when you add a member, when you invited a member to your organizations, by default, he or she is going to be a stakeholder. But we should change that one. So I'm going to go to the organization here. I'm going to go to organization setting, and then I'm going to go to the users. You see, I am the owner for this organization, right? My access level is basic, but the one that I add by default is stakeholder. Okay, so the stakeholder have some limitations, so I usually change this one to basics. So change, and instead of stakeholder, I'm going to change it to basic. Okay, save. So I'm going to go to the project. Another thing that I want to explain to you is how to create features and epics. So we create user story and we create task, and now I'm going to show you how to create the features and epic. Go to the backlog here, and you see here the stories. If you click at this one, you can see features, right? You can see features, and you don't see epics. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click in this one, setting, and you see epics. can click on this one and save. And now you can see epics, features, and stories. I'm going to go to features, and I'm going to create any feature. I'm going to create one, and I call it UI. Add. So now we have a feature called UI, and I can link the user story, or I can put the user story inside this features. How I'm going to do this one? It's really very simple. Okay, I'm going to go to the stories. Let's say that this is the story that I want to link to the, or to put belong to that features. Click in this one, and then add link, and go to that feature, which is UI, and say add, then save. Now if we go to the features, we have a feature called UI, and inside this features we have user story, and I can add multiple features to that user story. Also, you can add epic. For example, I can come here and I can create an epic. Okay, any name. Let's choose this name. Add mobile application support. Say add to the top. Now I have only one epic. Okay, and now I can go, for example, to features. For example, this feature, and I can put it or link it to that epic. Add, save. Now if you go to the epics, you see we have this epic, and inside this epic we have this feature, and inside this feature we have this user story. And the last thing that I'm going to show you is how to connect your GitHub repo to your Azure Board. It's really very simple. It's not that difficult. So I'm going to go here to the project setting, and you see this GitHub connections, and I say connect to your Hub account, and then you have to log into your account. Okay, so I'm gonna log to an account that I created with my password, sign in. I'm gonna put the code here. Okay, and we're gonna show the repos in that account. So you have different repos here, show all of them. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the GitHub account. I'm going to create repo for this project. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just create a repo for this project, new. I'm going to just call this one demo. Okay, it's a variable. So I'm going to create that once. Now we created a repo, I call it demo. And now I'm going to go to the Azure Boards. Okay, and we just start. You don't see it here. Okay, but I'm going to say connect. You see, you can see it here, the repo. So I'm going to select this one. Select the repo that we want. And then you say save. We're just going to say approve. You see now my project is connected to this repo. Okay, you can connect it to any repo that you want. So the last thing that I'm going to show you is how to link git commit to your task. Okay. So now we have the Azure Boards, right? So I'm going to go here. And sprints. So now we have the tasks here. Say this is the task that I have, and as you can see that each task has an ID. This is ID 2, and this task has an ID 4. Okay, this is very important to link this task to your commit. So we click on this one. This is a task. This is the name of task, and what's the ID of this task is 2. Okay, we're going to use this ID in order to link the commit to this task. It's really very simple. Okay, let's say that we work in that repo. Okay, and we have a file, whatever this file. Okay, I'm just going to create a file. Okay, I'm going to call it any name for this file. Login, for example, whatever, any name, and I did some change. Okay, I add any line or any change to this one, just say that line 1. Okay, just assume that this is the change that you did. Very, very simple. A change. Go to this file. Okay, I'm gonna say commit changes. What you should do is this one. Okay, AB and then pound sign, and then write that ID for the task. I'm gonna write 2. Why I put 2 here? Because I want to link it to this task. So I'm gonna go here and I say commit. But before I do this commit, I'm gonna show you that that task, there is no anything linked to this task. Click here, you see, there is no any commit connected to this task. But now, after I include the task ID in the commit, automatically that one is going to be linked. Commit, you're going to see this one in a second. So now I'm going to go to the sprint board. I'm going to just refresh first. You see, create login is there, right? It's connected to this task. Okay, you can click on this one, you go to the changes which is related to that task, and you can do it even for the other tasks too if you want. For example, if you want to link it to this task, okay, that commit to this task, you should use this ID, okay, which is 4, but I link it to the number 2, okay, so I used number 2. That's it for Azure Boards. So in this video, I showed you how to create organizations, how to create project and task board, and also showed you how to create columns for this task board, how to customize your sprints, how to invite team members to your project, and also how to create and customize Agile process, how to create user stories, tasks, features, and epics, and also I explained to you how to assign the team capacity, and how to link your Azure Board to your GitHub account, and how to link a task to your Git commit. I hope that you enjoyed my video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe and drop a like for this video.